I know it is a strange comparison. It is rare for people to compare these two microphones. One is a large diaphragm tube mic and the other is a small diaphragm transistor mic. But for me, an amateur shakuhachi player wants to choose microphones to record myself. Then the story begins. At the vocal part, there's a pop filter on the Telefunken TF51, but the Neumann KM184 doesn't. And the interface is RME UFX II. All recorded sound is raw and unproceeded. The two microphones is in the same position. The shakuhachi is a bamboo wind instrument. You can also see it as a bamboo flute. Many videos online told me that I should buy a small diaphragm microphone to achieve excellent transition response. I think it is suitable for shakuhachi, so I bought the Neumann KM184 first. Then a friend of mine who is a bamboo flute player told me, when he goes into the studio to record Chinese deeds or shakuhachi, most of the microphones he uses are large diaphragm mics, both the transistor and the tube one. For example, the Neumann U87AI AKG C414, Neumann TLM103, but the one he uses most often is a tube microphone. It is lightweight LCT 940. And another shakuhachi player, he used to use Telefunken U47 to record music. Then one of my favorite shakuhachi player, Yamaguchi Seimo, he always used Neumann U87AI. So I think maybe for me the U87 is a little bit boring choice. A tube mic is much better for shakuhachi recording as well as a toy for me. Then I bought Telefunken TF51. For the shakuhachi, it is ideal to position it at 2/5 of the distance from the flute head to the fifth hole. But you should try it yourself to choose what you like. The 2/5 is just the baseline. The method of using the microphone is more important than the selection of the microphone. Let me play a demonstration. The small diaphragm microphones have a stronger directionality, so the placement needs to be more precise. That's why I'm using the KM184 for demonstration. First, the 2/5 position. Second, the flute head position. The third, the body position. The third one, I think the sound feel muffled. It is not good for me. I like the bright sound. Maybe the first and the second one suit me better. Let's see some Japanese performances example. Yamaguchi Seimo chose to align the diaphragm with the flute head. Fujiwara Tozen on the left stage, the microphone point to the flute head. This one is the shakuhachi body position. This one is more like the 2/5. In the studio, the microphone is on the above and point to the flute head. Akihito Obama recorded in stereo. The microphone is on the above. It is hard to distinguish the direction of the microphone. The Zack Zinger, Kominato-san, maybe in the home studio. And then at the studio, this one is much lower than the flute head. And there is another two. Now I have changed the mic position and moved the pop filter away. Let's do the comparison of these two microphones of shakuhachi recording. The first one is Shinsan 1.6. The second one is Shinzan 1.8. The third one is Liuhe 2.4. The last one, Bonshu Sensei no Shakuhachi 2.7. So which one do you like? Please leave your comments below.